Hello, my name is Zachary Simpkins, and I am going to be talking about communication in banking, especially about having the traditional values of banking, of working with people and knowing that your money is valued and you're part of a community or a system that cares about you, and also implementing some of the modern technology. When it comes to finances in general, it's a very stressful topic. People are concerned about where their money is and they want to know that it's safe and secure. And this is kind of how it does it. So when it comes to communication, there was some traditional communication methods. It was the form of just letters or receiving your statements in the mail. There was just in-branch visits where you're able to have to go into a bank, talk to like a branch manager to talk about loans or get to know the tellers. And there was calling over the phone to get you the bank that I am at that used to also tell like the time of day and wait, and you can get your balances and stuff. Those systems were good and in place to be secure, but took a long time. Sometimes it's hard to get to the bank to make every transaction, and it can be hard to wait for a letter to get your balance. Where now we can do so much other stuff. So, more modern ways of communication when it comes to banking. There are secure mobile apps that can use multi-factor authentications to still verify you. They can use your voice sometimes to be able to show that yes, there's ways some people found to get around certain things, but they're still trying to make it as secure as possible. And it's a great field for a lot of people go into to make sure things are secure, sending it through a secure link to make sure everything's there. There's chat boxes where you can ask some other banking questions, like where's the best place to invest? Can you give me the local times for interest rates for CDs or certificates of deposit? There's push notifications letting you know, like, hey, your debit card was just trying to be used in a place. Was this you? Can you validate, make sure this is you or not? So ways of technology helps, but there's still that underlining like we want to be safe, we want to be secure, and if I know more people, it's easier and better. But I want to get more of that personalization, and this is my interview that I had with a manager by the name of Hannah Packard. Now, her family has been in banking for generations. Her family first opened up a bank back in 1891. And so her family's been in banking for a long time. So she's currently a loan officer as well as an office manager. The first thing that she talked about when it comes to banking and especially with communication is building trust with others. They People respond more if they know who you are and they trust you and they know you will take care of their money. You have their best interests in mind. Yes, you also need to make sure that they're aware, like banks want people to pay interest because that's how banks make money. So there is part of that. Yes, the banks want to make money off of transactions, but the bank won't make any money unless the business or the loan is successful and it's gone through its duration. So they want it. There's some give and take, but if they don't trust you, then there's no way anything's going to move forward. They're going to take their funds elsewhere. Um, and she brought up points about following up, that there's actually been accounts where people have been debating about between a couple different institutions, and just by sending a follow-up email saying like, hey, are you still interested? This is still what we have, just checking how everything's going. There's been a lot of people brought over just from following up with others and making sure that they know that they're valued and important. But the other thing that I thought was really interesting that she talked about was not to force it. There are some times where, I mean, there's even somebody that she still talks to the phone a lot that don't have any accounts at the bank she works at, but she talks to them, gives ideas about the best thing for a loan or what other type of things that they could go to be successful because that's a relationship they have. And she's gotten referrals from that, even though the person giving the referral didn't end up choosing to work with her or didn't end up choosing to work with the bank she's at. So not forcing people to follow, but just being honest about what you're doing, building that trust, and then following up to get to know them. So those were the key takeaways from my interview with Hannah. I interviewed somebody in a different department, and his name is Todd Stewart. So Todd Stewart is still working at a bank, but he's not in the traditional even as a loan, like an officer with loans, his loans are different. So on treasury accounts, which is a type of account that is designed more for entrepreneurs, or he works with the credit card department and those types of loans, because a credit card is a type of loan. That's how you build credit, is that you like are able to borrow money as long as you promise to be able to send that back. And if you don't pay back a certain time, that's when you have interest. But these other types of loans or treasury accounts can be merchant services, or when you go to a store and use your card. That's a form of merchant services. So he does these other types of accounts still within banking, just had to learn more with technology because his field was constantly growing and changing all the time. The first thing he talked about was learning to listen to people. There's the experience I wrote about, but essentially there's just ask questions about how things are going and listen to what they were saying, and found that there was a lot of people feeling like the technology that was in place and the system they're using isn't serving their needs, and they want it to be cheaper. So found ways to make it cheaper and also have great customer service, knowing like, hey, we're local, we want to be here, and we can help with that. So that was a big thing he talked about. Then also, there's different type of accounts with entrepreneurs, is having an open mind, learning these people's business ideas and not immediately dismissing them, saying, oh no, that will never work, but asking questions, trying to get to know them. And the more questions you ask, the more likely they can tell the full story and get to know, like, hey, this can be successful. Or the third point he brought up is being direct, being like, everything you have is a great sounding, but there's not enough evidence, and we care about you, that if this business goes south, then you could lose everything, and we don't want that to happen. So being honest with people and saying like, hey, this is what you have, and this is what you might need additional help with. And so being direct doesn't mean being mean, but just telling them clearly, like, this is what you would need to do if you want to move forward with it. And at this point, we don't feel good about moving forward. We care about you as a person. And those are totally good things to do. So with often having all of those values have been really important, but there's those shifts in customers' expectations. So more people prefer to talk online. They want to be able to be in charge of their finances, and they want to have the technology to do that. They don't want to have to wait or drive to talk with somebody, even though they still value those communications and being in person. Depends on the thing. If they're doing a house loan or different type of ones, they want it to be a longer process. They want to really make sure that they're taken care of. Versus even some car loans and some other things, they want to just submit an application online and then move forward. So our communication has to change and adapt, especially with finances, letting people know like, hey, this is what's going on. There are more ways that people can commit fraud, so letting people know about things like that, and still being safeguarded with real people, but also having the privileges and the other things that come with technology. So there's a way we can go about this and do it. It just is going to take extra effort on everybody's part, and especially with banks of learning. We can still hold on to those values. They'll want to have people come in and talk face to face and be great, excellent customer service, while also providing their needs of moving to an increasingly digital world. So the key takeaways that I took from all of this, again, I just want to hit on is build trust with those that we're in. That's so important, whether digitally or in person. Be direct, making sure that we're clear in the communication, especially online, that this is what we're doing, and so there's not any mess ups. There is power in following up with people and letting them know that they're important. Don't force it. Things will come when they have their, if you're being honest and helpful, people come around. Learn to really listen to what they're saying and be able to provide options after you listen first. That's the most important part. And have an open mind, ask questions, get to know people, and they can surprise you. Banking and finance can be really struggling topic for a lot of people. It's stressful. There's a lot that goes into it. But as we merge traditional values to make sure people oriented and we're focused on caring about others, we can also implement more technologies to reach more, be faster, and people can be in charge of their finances more than ever before.